Criminal organizations can be found in every region of the world, many of which have been operational for decades, if not centuries. Some have increased in power, influence, and authority through the years. You'll be astounded at the money that some of these groups control. They have wealth that exceeds the budgets of some nations. Let's take a look at the world's richest criminal organizations. Let's get started. The Triads. These historic organized crime groups, also known as the Chinese Triads, have their roots in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. They've been around since the 18th century. They've spread to occupy territory in various parts of the world, such as the United States, Vietnam, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Brazil, Russia, and even South Africa. Since its inception, they've shifted the scope of its operations to primarily distribute illegal drugs and white-collar offenses, such as forgery and healthcare fraud. The exact amount of their wealth is unknown. Nevertheless, it was recently discovered that in 2018, they were responsible for laundering $5.4 billion in the city of Vancouver, which is located in Canada. Out of this total amount, $4 billion were invested in the real estate market, which drove up the price of homes in the city to such an extent that citizens could no longer afford to buy a home there. This fact is the reason why they're on our list. There is no doubt that this is among one of the wealthiest criminal organizations in the world, if not the richest of them all. Given that those figures come from just one location and were accumulated in just 1 year. Camorra. Even though law enforcement has made significant headway in recent decades towards dismantling the Italian-American mafia, the Italian mafia in Italy itself is more powerful than ever. According to research, Camorra is the most successful of these groups. It brings in an estimated $4.9 billion annually through various illegal activities, including sexual exploitation, gun trafficking, drugs, counterfeiting, gambling, usury, and extortion. And the Camorra has been at it for quite some time. The group's history can be traced all the way back to the 19th century, when it was initially created as a prison gang and has its headquarters in Naples. Throughout the deadly political upheavals in Italy during the 1800s, the group developed by providing protection services and acting as a force for political organization among Italy's impoverished. Members of the group were eventually released, which allowed the group to grow. The Medellin Cartel. Medellin, located in Colombia, is a city well known all over the world primarily due to its cartel. Its commander and creator, Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria, was arguably more notorious than the organization itself. The cartel was active in Bolivia, Canada, Colombia, Panama, Peru, and the United States between the middle of the 1970s and the early 1990s. In the 1980s, when they were at the height of their cocaine trafficking enterprise, they raked in an average of $60 million in daily earnings. They provided the United States with at least 85% of the cocaine that was entering the country then. Because the company was raking in so much money, they had to purchase rubber bands for roughly $2,500 monthly to keep track of all the cash they were bringing in. At the time of his death in 1993, Escobar, known as the King of Cocaine and the wealthiest criminal in history, had a peak net worth of $30 billion. This amounts to nearly $60 billion when inflation is considered today. Sinaloa Cartel. The Sinaloa drug cartel is Mexico's largest and is one of several gangs that have been terrorizing the Mexican public. Sinaloa acts as a go-between for drug cartels that produce illegal substances in South America and the insatiable demand for those drugs in the United States. The Office of Drug Control Policy at the White House believes Americans spend $100 billion annually on illegal narcotics. The Rand Corporation estimates that approximately $6.5 billion is funneled to Mexican drug cartels. Even though Sinaloa's head has been in custody, it appears that the cartel has been able to avoid the type of brutal and expensive succession war that has afflicted other groups when a leader is removed from their succession. Do you want to know about the luxury lifestyle of the world's leaders and celebrities? Then all you have to do is click on the subscribe button. Let's move on. Yamaguchi-Gumi. It's Japan's most profitable Yakuza group. With an estimated total revenue of $6.6 billion, the term Yakuza is identical to the term mafia used in the United States. It began in 1915 as a dockworker labor union. The leadership of this organization is centralized, and the head of the organization is referred to as the Kumich. According to Hiromitsu Suganuma, who served as Japan's previous national police head, the Yamaguchi-Gumi make more money from the trafficking of illegal drugs than they do from any other source. The following two top sources of money are gambling and extortion. Also, they engage in pornography on the internet and stock market manipulation. After the earthquake and tsunami that struck the Tohoku region in 2011, they participated in relief activities. Its membership has been steadily decreasing, dropping by 14% between 1991 and 2012, going from 28,000 in 2013 to 23,400 in 2014. In 2015, a portion of the group separated to create the rival Kobe Yamaguchi-Gumi. Despite this, it's still among the most influential criminal organizations in the world. According to Dennis McCarthy, who authorized An Economic History of Organized Crime, Yakuza gangs are among the most centralized in the world. Yakuza members, once initiated, are required to undermine all other allegiances in favor of the Yakuza. This is in contrast to other East Asian gangs, such as the Chinese Triads, which are a loose aggregation of criminals connected together largely by familial links. Even though the Japanese government has been cracking down on Yakuza in recent years, this centralized organization has made it easier to assign a significant amount of cash to just one gang. This is the case even though the Japanese government has been doing so. Solntseevskaya Bratva. The Solntseevskaya Bratva is regarded as one of the wealthiest criminal organizations in the world. The Russian organized crime group brings in a total of $8.5 billion annually. Since its inception, Solntseevskaya Bratva has been involved in various illegal activities, including drug dealing, extortion, fraud, and money laundering. They've also established alliances in other parts of the world to broaden the scope of their operations. Research compiled by Ridgeway Research indicates that the organization was active throughout the Caribbean, Latin America, and Mexico at one point. Allegedly, they were also involved in activities in several Asian nations, including Japan, Malaysia, China, and Indonesia. According to Yahoo Finance, the gang is also said to have close contacts with Afghanistan and to collaborate with Afghan officials on heroin trafficking. Heroin trades are a significant contributor to the organization's revenue. In addition to having contacts with other criminal gangs and organizations, the Solntseevskaya Bratva is rumored to have connections within the government and with high-ranking individuals. There were even rumors that the Russian government intelligence service was covering up for the gang, which was confirmed by a publication from WikiLeaks in 2010. Ndrangheta. The Ndrangheta has now surpassed Sicily's well-known Cosa Nostra to become the most powerful organized crime gang in Italy and one of the largest in the world. This achievement was accomplished by merging two previously separate criminal organizations. The phrase Society of Men of Honor is supposed to be the meaning of the word Ndrangheta, which has its roots in Greek, but from their activities, we can't say they are men of honor. Even though Italy's Ndrangheta crime syndicate has been around since the late 18th century, the group recently garnered global headlines when it took center stage at the world's most extensive mafia trial in decades. This trial was the largest mafia trial in decades. According to a study that the Demoscopica Research Institute conducted in 2014, it's estimated that the Ndrangheta earns more than $60 billion annually, which is more than Deutsche Bank and McDonald's combined. To put it into context for you, their annual revenue is greater than the gross domestic product of the entire nations of Jordan, Lebanon, and Uruguay. According to the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, OCCRP, more than 50% of their money comes from the trade of cocaine in Europe, which it's believed to control in excess of 80%. In addition to narcotics, the criminal network is notorious for a number of other illegal activities, including the laundering of millions of dollars worth of money and the evasion of millions of dollars worth of taxes, as well as fraud, extortion, high-level corruption, and the international trafficking of people and weapons. There you have it, inside the world's richest criminal organizations. Watch our next videos on the channel.